Hey guys, welcome to our first Farel episode. Yes,
Yay!
I'm super excited because so many people have been waiting for this. And here we go, guys. Here we go. On this podcast, we are going to be talking about faith, relationship, lifestyle, and we will be speaking to amazing individuals. They will come in and share their awesome stories to all our amazing audience. I am your host, Sammy, and my favorite host also is.
TB!
So, TB,
And
how do you feel?
I'm excited, bro. I'm so excited for this podcast,
I
this
know.
episode. I'm so excited. And the person we're bringing in today is Juliet Ike. This lady is so powerful.
I
This
can
is
I can tell from the sound of her name. EK.
one of the people I admire. The first thing that drew me to Juliet was how focused she is about, her career, her Christian faith, her life.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'll be expecting to hear great things from Juliet, her story, and yeah, we are.
Awesome. That's amazing. But I just wanted to go back and to also talk about when you wanted to start this podcast. To be honest with you, I was a little bit scared. You know, I was a little bit scared because we're going to be talking about relationship too, and
Breakfast stories.
I mean, I'm someone who have eaten too many breakfasts. I was a little bit scared to share about, talk about relationship. I had to leave that for the expert because I realized that I'm not a relationship expert. But with my experience, I feel like, I'm in a better position to share relationship talk and to also, have that conversation with people as regards to their relationship with people, not just intimacy relationship, but friendship and things like that. So I want to ask you so I know many people actually message you to tell you to ask you actually when are you guys starting, what came to your mind when you know that these people were showing interest in the Farel podcast? What came to your mind? How did you feel?
Honestly, I was first of all so shocked because in the world we live in, for people to find your content that valuable, it's almost impossible. And one thing I've noticed is the world appreciates boldness, because you can have something in you, something that is really great, massive, that will change the world. But if you're not bold enough to bring it out to the public, you never get validation, or you just keep being that local chairman in your local small area. So when you look at social media, there are a lot of people that talk rubbish, but because they are bold about it, we have people who follow them. But now, what will make the people stay with you, stay with your content and everything, is the value that it carries. Honestly, I was I was scared. I was shaking.
I know.
I was so what if this content turns not to be interesting, or all those kind of things. I had all those kind of thoughts on my head and all that. But then I was like, you know what? We have it in us and we have God in us, and
exactly.
It's fabulous. It will be fantastic.
I know, right? I know. I was also scared myself, to be honest with you, because one of my vision this year was to actually for us to push through with the Farel podcast, because we wanted to do that last year, right? And we kept procrastinating it, and I know the fact that because we were scared, that was why we were procrastinating it, to be honest with you. Because we were scared, we kept saying that, okay, TB, I'll do this, let's do it tomorrow, but stepping into 2023, in my mind I was like, God, you know what, me and TB, we are going to start this podcast this year, no more procrastination. And I feel like because we now have And I believe that we now have the confidence, we now have the boldness, and not just that too, we now have the ability to speak about these issues.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
But
That's why I
also,
feel like it's very, very important.
yeah. Also, Samuel, it's not just about like the confidence. It's not even just about that. I can remember that last year we wanted to do it, like, but we weren't prepared. So
Yeah.
I just feel like God was saving us, because if this thing were supposed to take place last year, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think it would
Yeah.
yield any
Yeah.
fruit.
Yeah. True.
So remember, like at the beginning of this year, you were like, "This is a year of takeoff. Like we are taking off."
Yes.
So
Think up.
yeah. So last year, God was just like, gather the resources, gather the material, prepare the guests, prepare the people, get every information you need. Prepare yourself, train your mind, train yourself. Yeah, and then take up in 2023. Yeah, so that's how I see it though. Like there's time for everything, and this is time for the Farel podcast.
This is time. I like that. It's time for the Fire podcast. I mean, we've listened to so many podcasts all our lives. It is not time for us to join in that conversation. And with that being said, welcome Juliet Ike to the Fire podcast.
Hi, good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
You are welcome. You're so welcome, Juliet. We are so excited to have you.
Yeah, we're super excited.
Episode.
Woo!
Thank you
It's a
for
blessing.
having me.
This should call for a
Thank you for
celebration.
deciding me.
My God. So guys, Juliet is a talent development coach and a media specialist. And she also runs an organization called Better Africa. Juliet, am I right? Am I getting that right?
Best.
All right. So, Juliet, apart from that, like, tell us about yourself. Like, that's like the brief intro I could do. But who is Juliet Ike? Like, people hear Juliet Ike, they see her on book covers, but who is Juliet Ike? We want to hear from the horse's mouth itself.
Okay. I would say I am a lady that is driven by vision. I believe that there is more to me than what I even do right now. One thing that I've learned is not to, put myself in a box. I mean, I have come to that point where I do not confine myself into a box, like, oh, because I'm a talent development coach, so this is all there is to me. No. Even despite the fact that I seem to, understand my vision to a large extent, I still do not want to box myself around and like, okay, this is the only reason why I was, I'm on earth or anything. So I would say that I'm a woman driven by vision, and I run an organization called Best Africa. Best is an acronym for Building Exceptional Skills and Talents.
Wow.
I started that organization in 2018. I just graduated from the university, and I had received like a vision from God to do something for creatives. Even at the time, I didn't really have like an understanding of what I was supposed to do. I was just driven, like I was really passionate about what I wanted to do, but I really did not understand it. So, but with time, this is like 5 years now, and so many things. I've made mistakes, I've grown, I've learned, but I'm still glad that I am charting that course regardless. And so yeah, like basically I think I was able to answer that.
Wow, that's really amazing.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, like, how long have you been a talent development coach?
I would say officially for 2 years now. I started out as that in 2020, and before then, I had been in the community development space. I wouldn't say that I am no longer in that space. I am still in that space, but more specific now, because then what I was just doing was I was just trying to like contribute my quota to social works, participating in community development projects through volunteering and planning projects and also executing them. But I realized that one of the things that would help me was to focus on a particular or a specific area.
Mhm.
So even though while I still do community development service projects now, I am more intentional. Like, I do not just take up any kind of project. So I am more like specific. So I would say I started out as a talent development coach officially in 2020. Yeah.
Wow.
So like 2 years plus.
Wow. Okay. So I know you started not quite long ago. So what has been like your major challenge actually dealing with creatives?
I think I would start with personality, understanding the personality of a creative. I mean, these days we have Gen Zs, like they call it, and most of which are people who are so, like, let me say, they are quite clueless about what they want, but they really have this enthusiasm, like everybody wants to do something.
Yeah.
But I remember I was on a live session yesterday, and one of the things that I shared was the fact that you don't have to start out like being your own boss. So I think that's one of the major challenges most creative have. Like, they just want to be on their own. They want to be independent. They just want to put things together. Everybody is in a hurry to put the name CEO, founder, and all of that. I mean, there's a lot more to it. And that, I think that was the reason why I decided to put out a book. So there's currently a book I wrote called I Wish I Knew This Before.
Wow.
And it's a
That's
so
amazing.
it's a book where
Congratulations.
Okay, Juliet. Okay. I'm going to get to your book later on.
Okay.
But then there's something you said, like you said it was like a vision from God for you to start this organization.
Yeah.
So that reminds me about myself, because when I was about to start Smiles Africa, it's a charity organization I run. When I was about to start Smiles Africa, it was like a vision from God. It was like a burden. God he kept coming to me. I was resisting up to a point where I found myself restless or literally sitting and I cannot understand what the teacher is saying, because everything on my mind was just like, you have to gather people and you have to start this. So starting that organization, I was clueless about maybe project management, leadership, all things. I was just driven by passion and the fact that it's an assignment from God. So my question would be, what's the advice that you give to people who are passionate, people who have this enthusiasm to like run an organization, people who are dreaming to run this organization, and probably they feel like this is an assignment or this is something they heard from God, and then they just want to jump into it. So like, what's the advice you're going to give them? Because I heard you saying like you took like a lot of training and all that. So what's the advice that you put out there for them?
I would say learn, like come to that point where you are able to accept that yes, it's true, God gave me this vision, and it's true, I am passionate about it, but it's also true that I cannot start now. Like, I need to learn to be able to gain the experience that I need to run it. But the beautiful part of it is, while you're learning, you can actually still be putting together like piece of it. So it's more like you're trying to like build the structure while you're learning. So I remember before I hosted my first concert, that was I was actually planning that concert when I was still in school. I think I was trying to like defend my project, and the knowledge that I used, or that came handy for me to plan that concert, was the fact that I had served in my fellowship. Like, I'd served in my fellowship, so it was more like I had hands-on knowledge on how to run a corporate organization and how to host an event. So I remember I like a couple of times while planning the project, I would just realize that, oh, this thing I'm actually doing was something I learned, and it was really nice because, you know, I was able to have gathered this information because of my interaction with the people I served with, and also because I was very active, you know, while I was serving.
Yeah.
And that was in my final year. And I remember I didn't want to take up that role because I felt like it was going to be a distraction for me, you know. Based on you're in final year, you need to ensure that you don't fail any exams, you need to pass and all of that. But funnily, that semester or that year was actually one of my best years in school. Like, I even had like better grades in my final year than my 200 level. So it was funny, but I love the fact that I was able to learn, and I was able to work with people that are also willing to show me certain things. So it really opened my eyes. So I feel like if you have a vision about anything that you want to do, you should learn first. And while you're learning, it could come in form of, you know, interning for this organization or a brand that is doing something, you know, related to what you want to do. It could come in volunteering. I think these days most people just want to, you know, get the tags as volunteers, but they are not really ready to volunteer. I mean, you will put out like something like, let me say, an information like, oh, I need 2 volunteers or 3 volunteers for so projects. If you're interested, please send me a message. And you see tons of people reaching out to you, but after then, like maybe just 1% is even going to show up. And even from the 1%, some of them will be asking you, Ma, is there going to be food? Are you going to give us money? And I'm like, hello. I thought I said volunteering. Do you understand? So I feel like people, young people should actually come to that point where they accept the fact that it takes work. Like, you need to work for the big picture that you want. Before you can become a boss, you need to serve. And that's just like, that's the first step. But while you're doing that, you can now start, you know, putting the structures of your own vision together, but not really starting out like that. Just putting it together so that by the time you're done, you know, you've served to a large extent, you've gotten the experience and the knowledge that you need. Then you can now launch out. So you're not launching out as trial and error. Like, you already know certain things. So by the time you're launching out, like you have knowledge, like you can't really not fail that much. Unlike somebody that is just doing trial and error and try to like, oh, let me see if it's not work or if it's not work. And you really don't want to do that for yourself. I mean, failure can be part of the process, but I don't really think you need to fail to know what success is.
I love what you said, Juliet. And I think a lot of young people who know they are called for something big, one mistake they make is, you know, they want to have all the information before they start. Okay?
Yeah.
And I love this quote by Judy Columbus. You know, not knowing it all is no excuse not to start. And that's like a wonderful quote. Like, not knowing it all is not an excuse not to start. So it's like, whatever you have, whatever idea that you have, if you know that you are called for a particular thing, if you know you're destined to do something big, you don't need to wait to get all the information. You need to start. And you starting can be you volunteering. So if you know that you are destined to have an NGO, or you are destined to be a teacher, you're destined to to go to that town, to go to that particular place to teach people. What you need to do is you need to volunteer your time. You need to start doing something. You need to go to that that training, get that training that you need for what you are going to do in the future. So a lot of young people, what they do is they wait till they get all this information, and for them they now start. And when they are getting all this information, they will get tired along the way.
Yeah, because it's
And then they will not
cumbersome.
drop out of the race.
Yeah.
So young people, like, they need to start. You can start up with volunteering your time. If you see an organization, they put out an ad and they're saying, we need volunteer for this particular project. If it falls in line with what you want to do, what you see God doing through you, then you need to volunteer your time, and you need to learn the process, learn how they do these things. And then when you begin to do that, it starts to click in your mind.
So Juliet, stepping into like entertainment, right? Stepping into the entertainment industry, are you more inclined to like one side of it? Are you just going to be delivering like Christian content, or like what should we be expecting from you?
For everything that a man starts, there's a why to it. So I feel like I'm not going into the entertainment space because I just love it and I want to be there. Nah, it's beyond that. I remember clearly when, I got clarity about what God wanted me to do, and I'm like, I don't really think I can do this, because I'm someone that, if I had my way, I don't want to be on the spotlight. I just want to be doing my thing, in one corner, and just be making exploit and be making money. Well, I realized that even as much as I didn't want to be on the spotlight, like, the spotlight was really coming for me. I mean, I can go for a meeting like now, and I see people, they'll be like, oh, I think I know you. Someone. I'm like, oh, people have started again or something. And I see people trying to give me roles in a place where I am new to. And it's not because I don't know, I feel like it's something related to what my friend used to say, that there's no hiding place for a goldfish. So I feel like so I feel like there is more, and I can only, and for me to deliver more, I should follow the person or the one who has asked me to start in the first place. So being in the entertainment space, of course, I won't say that what I'm going to be doing will be shielded with the name gospel. I don't want it shielded, as much as I'm sure that everything I'm going to do is to propagate God's kingdom. I'm also not going to make it look scary to the world. There's an ideology people have. They'll be like, anything gospel, they don't want to hear it, because it's like the religious part of it has shielded the main thing they're supposed to know. You hear people say things like, being a Christian self, I'm scared, I don't even know where I'm going to, whether it's hell or be heaven. I beg, let me just live my life. But if there's a way the gospel can be sold to people, and when they understand the truth of it, enjoying it or consuming content, gospel content, would not be an issue for them, because they already have, like, there's a changed ideology for them. So I'm in the entertainment space. I think I'm still breaking through into it, by the way, but like, I'm in the entertainment space because God asked me to be there. So, and for Him to tell me to be there, I'm not going to go there and start doing something else. But as much as this is for the gospel, I'm leveraging on tools and platforms that are even secular in nature. But at the end of it all, it's still to influence people. It's still to propagate the kingdom of heaven and glorify God.
That's a solid point. And I believe that as Christians, anything we are doing, it has to be for the glory of God. Whatsoever you're doing. So I really like that last statement you made. You know that we had talked about this part, like individually, like private, but how do you feel being called like to Laju Iran film? I mean, the film industry, like that sector. How do you feel working on the Laju Iran films?
Oh, okay. I feel honored. I think that's the word, because it takes me, the experience of me being on camera takes me back to where I'm coming from. Like growing up, I used to be very timid. Like I couldn't stand in front of people to like make a speech. Like I'm not talking about somebody gave me this speech to make. I mean, just say something. So I'm realizing now that I can ask if before people, not one person, not two. I mean, large number of people, and I'm not shy or anything. Yesterday I was on set with Brain Jota, who is actually a skit in Nigeria, and we shot 2 skits, and like I think I did, like I played a major role, sort of, and it required me to be, to stand in front of everybody and talk and just do something, and I did it. Like I wasn't shy. I was just having fun. So for every time that I get opportunity to be on camera, it's usually like an honor, to be honest. I don't see it like, you two are blown or you are trying to, no, I see it as an honor, really, because I know that there are people that they can act, like these ones are professional actors and probably they don't really have that opportunity, but here I am. I mean, just doing what God want me to do.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, that's actually like evidence of the Holy Spirit in you, because he says, I'm not giving you the spirit of fear, but boldness. So that's also actually an evidence of spiritual growth, like you being bold, coming out, and all that.
Yeah.
But that's amazing though. I can't wait to watch, like, a skit with Brain Jota.
I think I've actually watched one skit we had.
I've featured in like 2 or 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is my first time of hearing that.
Like she was a choir girl.
Okay. There we go.
The first one I featured in, I fell under the anointing because it's actually a church setting kind of skit. Then the second one, I was ushered. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm going to send you the link to watch.
For sure.
I think my question, like my next question for you has to be, because you've said so many things about, this is what God wants you to do. You had a vision from God. My question for you is, how do you feel being called? Because I know that we are all called for something, right? And along the way, people get scared and then they move out of their calling to go to something else.
Yeah.
But how do you feel being called, and also what keeps you motivated to still stay in the calling?
Okay, I'll start with the first question. How do I feel being called? I feel honored. I don't know why I usually use the word honor, but I think it's just honor. Like, I mean, God of the universe handpicked me to be able to do something for him.
Yeah. And
even though it took me a while to settle in the whole thing, because I'm like, I'm not really worthy. I don't know if I have the skill. I don't even know if I have the knowledge and all of that. But I remember when I was serving in school, in my fellowship, there's usually this phrase that my colleagues used to use, and like, God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay. So it's not about me. It's not about God saying, you know what, Juliet, I'm calling you because you have the knowledge. I'm calling you because you are smart. I'm calling you because you can do this. So what that means is that God is not saying, Juliet, you need to be skilled for me to use you. You need to be this for me to use you. He's saying, come the way you are. I'm going to equip you with the right knowledge with the right skill and everything that you need. There's a portion of the Bible that says that faithful is he who calleth, whom also will do it. So God is not saying, Juliet, I need you to be skilled, I need you to be this, I need you to be that for me to use you. He's saying, no, come the way you are. I am going to use you just as you are. So I feel really honored to have received this vision from God. God is not saying, Juliet, I need you to be talented or be skilled before I can use you. He's saying, I can use you even though you are not skilled. I can use you even though you don't have this talent.
That's interesting. And there's one thing I also learned, like, God does not call, he doesn't just call like empty vessels. God calls vessels that are prepared. So which means before God was making that calling onto you, it's either like you had that burden in your heart, or you had that vision in you already, like this is what I want to do, this is what I want to become. So you made yourself available for God to use. That's why he's like, okay, if she's available, then I'm going to make use of her. I'm calling her forward.
Every time that I have been tempted to quit, I always try to remember my why. Today I saw a tweet by my pastor's wife, and she was like, what do you do when prophecy do not get to be fulfilled? And one of the things that stood out for me was the need for you to keep your gaze on the person that gave you that prophecy.
Right.
Prophecies are words that are spoken for you to find fulfillment. The Bible says that there is no word from God that will go without finding fulfillment. So prophecies are meant to be fulfilled. But what do you do when they are delayed? For instance, maybe God has told you, I'm going to do this thing to you, and you have expectations. As humans, we always have expectations, and you're like, okay, first year, second year, third year, like, what do you do? One of the things that stood out for me in that tweet was the fact that we need to hang it on. We need to look up to the person that has given us that word. So it's no longer, so far you are playing your own part, God is definitely going to play his own part. It's left for you to do what you're supposed to do. So most times I wouldn't say that I'm always motivated to wanting to do what God wants me to do. But when I remember the why, the why is not about me. It's about the people that are going to be blessed or be beneficiaries of what I am doing.
Amazing.
I mean, their souls to be saved, their lives to be transformed. These people there are thousands, there are millions in number. So imagine if, because of my disobedience, this thing doesn't happen. God might decide to do someone else. But I mean, it's really, like I said before, it's an honor to be called by God to do something. So I'm not going to take it for granted and say, use someone else now. No, it's an honor for God to want to be interested in using me. So I feel like motivation actually comes from me reminding myself my why. Why did I start in the first place? And that's why it's also important as young persons. So I'm just saying this to any creative that is listening to me. Do not start up something because you see somebody doing it. Because the point, you will lose motivation. And when you lose motivation, you won't be able to, you would regret even starting. Why? Because you started for the wrong reason.
That's true.
But scripture will say that as Moses lifted up the serpent in the desert, so is the Son of Man lifted up. And the Bible also says that if we lift God up, he will draw all men to himself. So if we put our gaze on God, if we put our trust in him, he's going to help us to achieve the things that we want to achieve, or the things that he has asked us to achieve. So it's not about you saying, I'm inspired by this person to start up something. If it is a physical thing that inspired you to start something, trust me, it's just a matter of time. You will lose motivation and you will leave it. But if it is God that is telling you to do this thing, no matter how, you will just keep at it, because I mean, this is God's work and it mustn't fail. So yeah, that's it.
Julia, that's
Amazing.
powerful. That's powerful. And it just reminds me, like, I mean, it just reminds me to, or it just brings me to this point that we are all on earth we have different missions, but
Yeah.
one goal that we have is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We all have like different assignments, different purpose. So don't be like an assignment copier, photocopier. Like don't look at what people are doing and then you're trying to do, but look at the originator, like the person who gave you the assignment. And for somebody like me running like an NGO, which is similar to what Samuel is doing too, sometimes we get tempted. Like, okay, like a few days ago I was having a conversation with someone and he was like we are going out of the purpose for this mission. Like when money came and some things came, we got excited and we forgot the purpose. And he was like his purpose was mentoring children in rural Africa, but at some point he just got excited with the blessings and everything, and then he went out of line and he was donating like foodstuffs to different people that were not his primary purpose, that were not his primary audience. So and then he was like, so he sat down one day. Oh no, Samuel, I can't get it word for word, but if I remember, you were praying one day, and then God was like, what was the origin of this thing? Like,
go back to the basic.
Yeah, like go back to the basic of it. So yeah,
I feel like I can relate to him as well, because I mean that has happened to me out of ignorance, because I was just passionate. There's something passion does. As much as it is a good driving force, it could actually be it could have a bad effect on you if you're not careful. You just want to help. You just want to help. As passionate as Jesus was, there were still people that were not healed. I mean, there were people that he would tell them, go and show yourself to the prophets. There were people that he would heal them instantly. So it's just for you to understand how to maximize the passion that you have. So not trying to delve into so many things because you are passionate about it. Ask yourself, is God leading me to this direction? So even though when I started trying to help creatives, at a point I saw myself trying to visit orphanage homes. It's not a bad thing anyway, but I feel like for a while, like I knew that this was not what God was telling me to do. I mean, this wasn't. I just knew within myself, even though people were, giving me thumbs up. Oh, you are doing an amazing job. You are doing this. It's not about the accolades. In fact, I've gotten to that point where I am like, whether people commend me or not, so far God is happy with what I'm doing. I'm fine. And I feel like we should be able to get to that point where you say, you know what? It is God. It is God I am trying to obey and serve. Just the way we need to try to start defining success, like relatively, like it relates to you, not what people think success is.
It's powerful. That's so true. I like that point so much.
Define purpose as it suits you. That's amazing.
Yeah. One thing I think a lot of leaders should watch out for is this accolade stuff. Like for me, right, I just put it in my mind like I mean when they applaud you for the work you do, it's good. Yeah. But I'm not taking the glory to myself. I'm referencing it back to God. Because for me, no matter how much mankind appreciates me, if God does not say, Sita, you have done it well, I'm restless. I'm not satisfied. So even if 100 people are clapping for me like, this is a great job, I'm like, God, what are you saying? Did I do well? Did I miss something? So I mean, people should just, this accolade thing, that's something that takes a lot of leaders like away from the right path. They get carried away by that. And then they start doing what mankind appreciates, not what God appreciates, or not what God has put them to do.
That's true.
So, Juliet, one next question I'm going to ask, like the thing just dropped into my mind is like, okay, you're dealing with this leadership, you're dealing with these people, and then you earlier talked about trying to gather volunteers and all that. So, like, how challenging is it leading volunteers, bringing volunteers together for a particular project? Because that's what a lot of organizations face. That's one of the main challenge a lot of organizations face, because people are just looking for where they'll chill their mind because they have a lot of things going on. So when you're bringing people and then you're bringing them to like work, carry out this task, do that, it's a bit challenging. People are just looking for somewhere where they can find like free resources, somewhere to chill their mind. So what's your take on that part?
Okay, actually building anything is not easy, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I also feel like there are two sides of a coin to this. The first is on the part of the leader. So in the course of me trying to work with certain persons as a team or as a volunteer for the projects that I've handled in the past, one thing that I have also seen is that there were certain things that were lacking from my own part, which is the fact that I didn't really, try to put so much, or let me say invest a lot in my team members. And this is what I mean. These guys would leave their house. This guy would come for meetings. This guy will be part of the entire process. Even though I try to like ask them I just try to ask them like, oh, how are you doing? How is your personal life and all of that? I also realized on the long run that I wasn't really investing so much in them, like trying to be part of what they were building. And that was because most of them did not really share their own vision per se to me. So I felt like, oh, they were cool, everybody was fine and all of that. So even though, some of them, they will still come and point, some stopped because they were like, you know what, this thing is quite taxing and all that. Then the other flip side is the fact that some of them they had expectations, and I feel like to them, they felt like the expectations were not met. For instance, one of them, they would say, he just blurted out to me and was like, you win awards, you do this and that, and it's all of us that we did it together. I'm like, I get you. And I just realized that there was a need for them to be oriented in, something like rewards. Yeah, being a volunteer, of course, it means something you're doing voluntarily. So whether there are rewards or not, you should be satisfied in this sense. But if you are now having so many expectations, it is now left for you to be able to communicate your needs or what you were looking for with your leader, so that he or she can, look for a way to maybe explain to you better, or probably fill in those things that you were looking out for. I don't know if you understand.
You understand?
So, in all, I would just say that setting up a team is not easy. I mean, it's very stressful. I'm not a kind of leader who hoards information from my team members. I try to be as real and open as possible, because I have this belief that even if you copy me, you cannot do it like me. I've seen some of my team members who maybe after they left, they start up something almost similar, and it doesn't last. And of course, what do you expect from someone that copies someone else's work or idea? That's what will happen. You don't have that tenacity to run it the way this other person would do.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if you really want to, if you're looking out to work with some, maybe you should consider hiring. You might have volunteers, yeah, fine. But if you're hiring, I feel like it gives them more like a satisfaction. For instance, some of the people that work with me now, they work with me as an intern. And at the end of the month, I tell them, from the beginning, I I can't pay you for now because I mean I'm not really making return from this brand.
Yeah.
I'm still in the investing stage, but I can afford to give you stipends, maybe like data per month. And they were like, cool, fine.
Okay.
Do you understand? So
Yeah.
it's just a way of you trying to communicate it with them. Then I have volunteers. Volunteers, from the beginning, I told them, I don't have anything to give you guys. They were like, oh, fine, we are cool with it. And that's fine. There are still people that can actually still give you their time to be part of what you're doing. It's just you understanding how you're going to table it to them.
Yeah.
One thing I told them from the beginning was, so far you are part of this team, anything, if you need anything that I can help you with, please feel free to reach out to me. And some of them invited me for, to speak on their own platforms, which I don't normally, I charge for that. But because this person is my team member, I don't charge them. So it's just you trying to ensure that as much as they are giving into your own brand, you also intentionally try to give back to them, because it could not be, it may not be money, it could just be their time. Try to reach out to them and ask them, what's up with you? What's with your vision? What's with your goals? How do you think I can help you? And when they are doing something, be a part of it. Yes, leaders, most times we can be carried away. We are busy with so many things. It's just for you to create time for the things that are important to you. If you say this person is a team member and he or she is very active, why not? If they have their own personal project they are doing, you can support them. You're trying to be there for them as well. I think that one will help when it comes to team building. Then for the part of volunteering, humans will always be humans. So no matter how you say, oh, I have 20 volunteers and just 2 persons are showing up, that's the way it's projected. Like that's the way their life is. Our life is. Because let me include myself. It's just for you to be able to come to that point and like, okay, look for a medium of filtering some of them off. So when you are looking out for volunteers, you don't put it out like, oh, I'm looking out for volunteers. Try to like go through a process, maybe creating a form that they could fill, where you can at least have an idea of their personality and some of the things about them, so that you can be able to take out so many people that might want to stress you on the long run. My current team member, they went through 4 processes before they were inducted. And I remember even during the application stage, some people could not continue. They'll tell me, my question is too long, I don't know. And at the end, we got about maybe 20 something applications. And this is something that was on, like the application was on for like 3 or 4 months, and we just got 20 something. So it means that so many persons actually checked it out and they gave up. And the reason why we actually went that mile was because me personally, I was tired of working with just any person. I needed people that are competent, that I can work with. So after the application, we had an interview stage. After the interview stage, we had a training stage. So after the training stage, before they were inducted. So I mean, you cannot go through these processes and after you are now inducted, then you will now be fumbling. I mean, what's the point? Because you've just wasted your time and you're about to waste your own time as well. So it's just for you to understand how, just build a structure that could help you. And I remember during the induction, there was a document for them to sign. There was an oath taking. Yeah, I just had to do that because I wouldn't allow you to just walk in and like feel like, oh, it's a normal organization. I can just be a volunteer and tomorrow you just go. No. So there was like a pledge, and in that pledge they were asked to sign a document. So all these things were just to ensure that there were proper documentation, and I'm not just going to bring just any person into my team.
Yeah, I like that. I think as a leader, we have to be intentional with the people that we are working with, especially when it comes to the non-governmental space, because that's where myself and TV we are in. And being a leader who we have like several people who are going for projects, and we need to be intentional about their growth as well. In as much as they are helping you in your purpose, they are helping you fulfill your calling, we ourselves also need to be intentional about their growth. And this is where you create a space for volunteers to share with you what they think and what they expect of the organization. So when they come to you, when they like the first day, you can do like an orientation. Now this is where you tell them the purpose of the organization, the vision that you have, because the reason why a lot of people, when they go to an organization, they end up being dormant, is because they don't know how important the vision is for the leader. But if the leader would take his or her time and to tell the volunteers how important this vision is for me, my calling, this is not a joke for me, this is my dream, this is what God has called me to do. When they hear all these things, they will not want to come and play, because they know you mean business. And you will also tell them that, okay, in as much as you are helping the organization grow, because every individual that are working with you are your ambassadors. So in as much as they are helping the NGO grow, your business grow, you yourself, you need to ask them, how can the organization help you grow too? So they don't feel left out. They don't feel like they're giving you their time, they're giving you their resources, they're giving you their energy, and you're not giving them back. People give energy to what they get back.
Sure.
Like if I'm working for an organization and I'm giving them 100% energy, and I don't feel like they're giving me the same energy, I'll withdraw myself.
Yeah, true.
That's the way we are actually wired right now. So as a leader, we need to be intentional about the growth of the people that we are working with, about their progress. Talking about like the progress, one thing that I started to do, or is in the pipeline, is when I was restructuring my organization, I was thinking about the volunteers, because I know that what we are going to be doing is teaching kids and educating them. We will go to different rural places and we will educate these children. What I decided to do was, I'm not going to go outside to look for facilitator. I will use the volunteer themselves as facilitator. And the reason I'm doing this is because I was seeing it this way, that if you have like 4 volunteers, they will go to one community to go and teach them and teach the kids how to read, how to write, how to spell, how to do all these things. We are putting them to work. And in that space too, my mind is also saying that, Samuel, when these people also get married too, when they have their own children too, the lesson that they've taken from this experience will help them with their children. So you see, so that's one way too to you need to put yourself in the volunteer shoe.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that you said that we need to create a space for volunteers to share their expectations to the organization. It's amazing.
Samuel, that's nice. Juliet, when you mentioned like the training stuff and all that, I know that like 2 years back, I was facing like this volunteer challenge. I set up like a training program for the volunteers. Okay, you have the orientation process and everything. Then I got volunteers. People were serious, committed. But then I started becoming scared, because I was like, these people, they sign up for volunteering, quite alright. But they also have other things that they do. They have other activities that they do. So how is going to be assigning like tasks to them, feeling less guilty? Like that would be quite heavy. But like the both of you have said something, and it reminds me like 2 days ago I was talking to a friend of mine, Tim, and I was telling him, I'm like, we need restructuring, we need something that will keep the organization going, will keep the volunteers involved. I mean, yes, they came in as volunteers, but you need something that will keep them keep them like wanting to do more and more. My goal is like making this thing a ripple effect, that even if I'm not there today, the same vision is passed down from every new generation that comes in. And then he was like, if you actually want your vision to be passed down, then the first thing you have to do is make them fulfill their vision through your vision. make them
Yeah.
feel important, make them feel wanted, make them feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they belong to the organization.
Yeah.
Like he was like, you have a lot of volunteers, give them tasks,
Mm.
give them the work to do. Why are you scared of giving them the work to do? Give them the work to do and listen to their cry. It's in that process that you'll be able to pass down your vision, because you'll be fulfilling like what they love to do while applying your method. So
I feel
like
I
they're
can even
fulfilling,
resonate so much with that.
yeah, so they are fulfilling their vision through your vision. And I stood there and I'm like, wow. For a moment I went like brain freeze. I was like, God. I was like, this actually makes sense. This
Yeah.
actually
You know,
makes
there's
sense.
some leaders that they don't really, for instance, let me use myself as an example. Before, I am a do-it-all person. If, for instance, I give my team member a task to do and I start sensing like excuses and all of that, I just like, don't worry, I'll do it. But one thing I didn't know was, as much as I was getting those things done, I wasn't helping them, because I would give them a task. They already know, okay, if she gives me this task and I don't do it, she will do it herself. So what's the point? But right now, I actually have a structure where I have team leads for every department. So I tell them, if there is any task you're giving, report to your team lead. So I'm not going to communicate with you as an individual or as a team member on your tasks. I'm going to communicate with your team lead. So I think everything still falls back to you trying to build a structure that works for you, that would help you to oversee and then ensure that everybody gets to do what they are supposed to do. So it's not like you have to start overseeing everybody's work. That will be a lot of work on your own part as a leader. So just trying to delegate someone they can report to, and you trying to communicate with this person. So I think that will work. Yeah.
Juliet, thank you. You've spoken so much. This
Yeah.
is a whole lot. So to go to your book, the story behind the brand. I wish I knew this before. Juliet, can you tell us about your book? What is this book about?
I wish I knew this before is a book I wrote of pain, to be honest, because there were kind of lessons that I learned the hard way. Before now, I used to be very strong-hearted in the sense that I do whatever thing that I want to do. No matter who or whoever is telling me, don't do this thing, I just do what I want to do. And it's not out of me trying to be rebellious or something. It's just, I feel like even if this thing does not go well, I would still say I did it. And it's not like it was, I did it out of someone trying to like influence me or anything like that. So, but then during the course of me transitioning, because I went from community development to digital marketing, becoming a digital entrepreneur for a while, where at some point like I was seeing real shaggy. And I just knew that, you know what, you just need to go back to your first love. Just go back to where you're coming from. So that process or that phase where I had to transition from where I was to where I knew that God was calling me to, the lessons I learned during that process was what I documented as my book.
Oh wow.
So the book is going to help you, a creative, who probably you want to start out your creative journey and you don't know where to start from. It's also going to help career professionals who are looking to transition. At a point, I think sometime 2021, 2022, there was this noise, like there was so much noise about tech. I think it even was more intense last year. Everybody's telling you, women in tech, guy in tech, sister in tech, tech and all of that. And some persons, they know quite well that this is not my space. In fact, because I was so driven, and also because I have a long-term goal of being a criminologist. So I wanted to study cybersecurity, which is actually in line with that So last year I applied for a cybersecurity fellowship program and course. I passed the first stage, the test, I did it, I passed. The interview stage, I am very sure that I passed. Yeah. But they did not give me.
It's an assurance for me.
To be honest, I'm very
sure.
sure I passed, but they did not give me. Why they did not call me was, they asked this question that if we don't give you, do you have other plans? And I was like, yeah, I had other plans. I want to become a criminologist. So they were more interested in people that could not afford it. So probably maybe if I went to them and like, oh, I don't have money, my father is this one, my mother is this one, probably they would have considered. But I did not lie. I actually told them the truth. That was why I said, I'm sure that I give me. So it's not about people telling you that it is tech that is paying now. So people tell you it's product management, it's cybersecurity, it's UI UX design and all of that. It's just for you to understand what your vision is. On that premise, then you can know what you should learn. On that premise, then you can now build and know the right thing to do or the right course to take that would help you to achieving that vision.
Amazing.
So this was the thing that bettered my book. I was just trying to document the lessons that I learned, trying to move from, cluelessness to clarity, and basically.
So who was your writing this book, right? Who did you draw inspiration from?
To be honest, I draw inspiration from so many persons. I wouldn't say it's just one person, but I think one of the people who pushed me into writing this book was my coach. I have always wanted to write a book, not because it's even funny, because I think since the past 2 years, people keep asking me, Juliet, where's your book? I'm like, I've not authored any book. I'm like, why? So if I was to write a book based on that, I think I should have published a book since. I had a book I wanted to write before now, but then I was having challenges with a topic and all. But I think that this process, this phase that I went through, actually gave me lots of clarity, and it helped me to understand what I actually needed to put in a book, and not just trying to put something together because I want to become an author and because I want people to know me for authoring a book, writing a book and all of that. Funny enough, this book didn't take me up to, I don't think, a week to write, or let me say
Powerful. Wow.
Yeah, but it was the process of, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I try to read something over and can it communicate and all of that. So in that process, then I started trying to take out some things, but the entire book itself, I'm not sure it took me up to a week to write. Yeah, let me just say a week. I remember clearly I started writing it in December, sometime in December. Yes, it's going to be out this February. Yeah, 7th of February precisely.
So I hear.
Amazing. I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to ask you, because you talk about the fact that when you were in that process, it was when you were in the wilderness, you learned certain things, and it is the thing that you learned that you now put in this book. So if you can please share with us and our audience too, I know they would like to hear, tell us 2 experiences that you learned.
The first is, do not do anything just because of survival. These days I see young people just put out certain comments on Twitter and all of that, I beg, make I chop first. A person will chop the free purpose, or just something nasty sort of, and all of them is channeled towards the fact that they're survivor is more important first, which is quite understandable. But then one thing also that they need to know is success is for the brave. You need to look beyond, I want to eat, or I just want to meet my needs, to be able to become extraordinary person. I mean, you don't become extraordinary by being normal. You need to do crazy things. And when I make crazy things, do something that is beyond what a normal person can do. So I realized that one of the things that drew my attention out of what I was actually doing was the fact that I was just at the time I just finished my youth service as a core member, and I needed it was not like I was in a hurry to get a job, but like the job came, and from there, like I just lost touch. Like I want to survive, I need a job, I need to stay in it, things like that. And I'm not saying that getting a job out of when you're done with service is a bad thing, but please, anybody that is listening to this, if you must get any job, get a job in a space that you love. You don't want to end up doing a job that you don't love.
Yeah.
Waking up every morning, grumbling, and like telling yourself, I wish I can resign. I remember when I wanted to resign, and I told my, why? Do you have another one? I'm like, no, I don't. And they're like, there's no job in Nigeria, which is quite understandable. But I think I also got to that point where I said to myself, like, I don't want tomorrow my kids to ask me, when your mates, they were doing this and that, and I will not say, oh, my family, they held me back. No, I want to be able to look back, and even if I make a mistake, I'm not going to blame somebody for my mistakes. I'm going to be like, okay, I made these mistakes, and this was what happened. So it was not easy for me to ask at the time, but I did regardless. Then the second thing was I was in this space where I was trying every means to be where my mates were. That was when I being a digital marketer full time. Precisely, I was an affiliate marketer. As much as that job or that side also was paying me, I just realized that this was not for me. Like, there's a way that you will look at something and like, this thing will be for my brain, no fit carry am. Not be saying a course, but just be for me. Like literally, that was how I felt. Because I was, as much as I was trying to put in my best was not besting. Because because I was just realizing that I was investing my time, I was investing my energy into this business, but I wasn't getting what the kind of result that I wanted. And it's not like I'm dull or anything. Like, I'm very smart. Knowing that this thing is not for me and just backing out almost immediately. It took me a while to stop affiliate marketing. And I'm not saying that affiliate marketing is bad. Please, you're listening to me. If you're good, you have interest in it and it's something that you can do, why not? But I knew from the beginning that I was getting into this business because of the money part of it, because it was really enticing. Like, they will tell you in a week you're going to make so thousand, you're going to make so million in a month, all those kind of sweet things, but they don't tell you the main thing. You get? But then I would not also say that the knowledge from that business didn't help me. Like, right now I can work. I think my last job was actually, I worked as a marketing communication executive. So some of the things that I did while at that job was the knowledge I got from affiliate marketing. Even till now, when it comes to lead generation, running campaign, online campaign and all of that, I could comfortably do them. And that was because I still, no knowledge is a waste. I still learned something, but I just realized that it wasn't something I wanted to do long term. So that's why the fact that, it was decent enough, it wasn't just for me. So I feel like those are like the two major lessons I learned during that process.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I mean, today has been really, really inspiring. I've learned so much from your story. Thank you so much for sharing.
So much, like, my brain. So Julia, we have spoken a lot about work, development, self-growth, career,
relationship, business.
But now Valentine is coming.
Showcase your boo-boo.
Valentine is approaching, so are we expecting like matching outfits online? Bro. Are we expecting to see matching outfit pictures, roses, petals?
This is not Christmas.
What? What's up with the Valentine vibe on your side? Like, what's going on?
At a point, I felt like maybe Jesus Christ was coming, or is going to come on Valentine's Day, because literally, like, everybody has been talking about Valentine for the longest of time. people are asking you, who is your boo? Who are you booing? Anyway, the only plan I have for Valentine's is community. So there's this project or an event that we want to do, because my community is made up of talents like poets, artists, and all of that. So we are hosting an event that will give them the opportunity to perform a piece, do a song that has, the theme love in the air, just to entertain us as community members, basically.
All right, thank you so much, Juliet. So, for our audience that want to contact you, how are they going to get hold of you? What's your social media handle?
For those that would love to contact me, they can find me on social media. I am Juliet Ike on all social media platforms. Not the I am Juliet Ike, like just Juliet Ike. On Instagram, I am Juliet Ike _. Same for Twitter.
All right, guys, there you have it. Juliet Ike, Coach Talent Development. You can reach out to her on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. And if you have anybody who is talented, you can also recommend her to them. And I believe that she's going to coach them very well. So, Julia, thank you so much for coming to our first ever episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to my
having me.
To my amazing co-host, TB, thank you for your amazing questions. Thank you for being flawless as usual. And to all our listeners, thank you for listening. You can also subscribe to us. You can also subscribe. We are going to be bringing you amazing content. Okay, so don't sleep on us. Okay, we are coming back to back. All right. So thank you everyone for believing in us that we can actually do this, and we are doing it. Like, we are doing it. 2023 is our year of doing.
Glory to God.
This podcast, we are doing it. So thank you all for your amazing support. Thank you to my co-host TB. Thank you to our amazing guest Juliet Ike. Thank you so much, and to our awesome audience too. Thank you. We are
the Farel
podcast.
Thank you so much.